Hello and welcome to my introductory video on how to shoot the OTT FlatCat Slingshot. This video is designed for beginners who are just getting started shooting to go over all the rudiments of shooting to get you off to a solid foundation. Let's start off by talking about how to hold the frame. The FlatCat Slingshot was designed to be flat, so it would be unobtrusive as possible when you're carrying it around. More rounded frames can be more comfortable and ergonomic, but I find that I tend to leave those home when I go out to shoot in the woods because I like something that's as low profile as possible. So here's how you hold the frame. Start by getting your first finger wrapped fairly far over the top of the fork, enough that you can get the tip of the finger down and touch the middle between the forks there. Bring your middle and ring fingers down and wrap them around the waist, and then put the pinky finger through the hole. Take your thumb and place this knuckle right in the bump there, so that the tip of your thumb is actually sticking fairly far off. Once you've got the grip down, let's talk about stance. You want to make sure that you're perfectly 90 degrees to your target, so if you point your arm straight out to the side, that's where you're aiming. For the purpose of this video, we're going to use a fixed anchor point, where you bring your left hand up and you pull your right hand back and touch somewhere on your face. Now you can put your thumb up and bring it to the corner of your mouth, which is very repeatable, or you can turn your hand upside like this and bring it back a little further and touch a knuckle to your ear, which gives you a little bit more pull for more speed. The most important thing with regard to anchor point is how to align your eye with the band. This is difficult for people to get at first, so really focus on this when you're practicing. You want to pull back to your chosen anchor point, and then you want to tip your head over the bands so that your shooting eye, in this case my right eye, but if you were shooting left-handed it would be your left eye, lines up right over the top of the band. See how much I'm tilting my head over? Right over the top of the band, so that the top band to your eye overlaps the bottom band and you can't see the bottom band anymore. Okay? So when you're lined up, you want to make sure that your right eye only sees the top band. One of the things I like about over-the-top flat bands is you get a very precise razor-thin sight picture, so you know exactly when your bands are lined up. So once you get your sight picture, you found your anchor point, your eye is right over your bands, so you can only see the top bands and not the bottom ones. Now it's time to learn to get a good clean sight picture. You'll have to find out for yourself, given your draw length and the temperature and the ammo you're using, what your aim point is going to be at a given distance. You're going to want to start out target shooting with a catch box, and most people choose somewhere between 20 or 30 feet. That's about average. And so when you get your anchor point with your bands, your draw length, your rubber, all these things together, everyone's going to have their own aim point. So for me, if I do all this, I'm going to be aiming just a little bit above the top of the fork. If I'm shooting at a can, for example, I'll put the center of it right on that corner. And you can adjust your anchor point a little bit. Say you want to bring it just a little bit higher, a little bit lower. But in general, once you've chosen an anchor point, it's best to keep it the same. The muscle training in this involves getting a sight picture and being able to hold it very, very still. If you're looking down the bands and you're wandering around, you're not going to hit the target. You have to train your muscles and train your mind too, and be able to develop the focus to get this and hold very still. Now in the beginning, you'll want to use lighter bands, or at least a shorter draw. When people pick up a slingshot with heavy bands and after a few shots they can't hit anything anymore, that's because they're struggling with these muscles that are unfamiliar with the motion. And really anyone's muscles eventually are going to start wobbling if you're pulling very hard. Light bands are the key to learning technique early on. Don't be drawn into the belief that heavy is macho. Just get the lightest bands you can with a little light ammo until you've got your technique down. That's a very important tip. Okay, the most important part about the slingshot is the pouch. So let's talk about it. You'll find your own way of putting a ball into the pouch, but I'll show you how I do it. I hold the ball like this between my index finger and my thumb. I grab the pouch between my index and middle fingers like this, and then I bring it around and I knock the ball into the pouch. I actually hold it for a moment like this, using the resistance from the bands to keep it steady and centered. Then I take my thumb and my middle finger and I grab the ball like this. Then I switch over and I put my first finger on top. Now, I want you to notice that the ends of my pouch are even. I don't have one forward or backward. And that's important. You want to make sure that your ball is right in the middle of the pouch. The most important thing that I'm doing is I'm grabbing the ball, not the pouch. Most people, when they first pick up the slingshot, they want to grab in front because it's easier to grab that way. You don't want to do that because then when you release, the ball is going to go in an unpredictable direction, up or down, when it goes over your knuckle or your thumb. This is very important. You want to grab the ball, not the pouch. You want the ball to be centered in the pouch. And the best way to know that you're doing this is to look at the ends. If there's space between the pouch up here in front of the ball, you're okay. And if the ends are even, you're okay. But you do not want to ever see these touch. The pouch should never touch itself anywhere, actually. All right, so you've grabbed the ball. You've got, if you're going to use my technique, you've got your knuckle on top. You're really using the meat right about here. Not quite the knuckle itself, kind of the meat between these two joints, and then the tip of the thumb. You're grabbing the ball. The pouch isn't touching itself anywhere. That's your pouch grab, okay? Focus on that, because getting that well is one of the great secrets to shooting well. The next step is the pouch release. So we're going to stand flat, bring the left arm up, pull this back nice and smooth, find our anchor point and touch. We're going to take our eyeball over the band to make sure that the bands are lined up. We're going to find our target, and now we're going to release the pouch. This is the key part of shooting. What you don't want to do is have an active release where the pouch has the ability to slide one way or the other. If you move your thumb first, it might knock it this way. If you move your finger first, it can knock it that way. So what you want to do is have just a relaxed hand. You just let go. Bill Hayes likes to just show his hand dropping away like that. And you can adapt that however you like, but the idea is that it's just a relaxation, okay? So we're gonna bring the left hand up, bring the right hand back. Make sure your elbow is pointing exactly opposite your target. Don't do this or this. Just have it all be one straight line. Find your anchor point against your ear, get right out over the band, make sure the top band obscures the bottom band, line up, get good and steady so that you're staying right on your target, and then just relax that right hand, okay? Here are some tips when you're just getting started. If you can have a catch box with a task lamp with a good bright bulb that's right in front of you between where you're shooting and where you're headed, the light can reflect off the ball while it's shooting and you can see better where you're missing. Using paper targets gets really old after a while, so hanging something small to shoot at and then using that light to help you see where you're missing is incredibly useful. If you can't see where you're missing, that's just a setup for frustration. The other thing is target size. Military marksmen like to say aim small, miss small, and it's really true here as well. Pop cans are fun because they jump and make a lot of noise, but that's actually a pretty big target. And as you start being able to hit that reliably, a smaller target will help focus your mind. You don't want to go so small that you know you won't hit it and it becomes frustrating, but you also don't want to be so big that you're letting yourself get away with less accuracy than you're capable of. When you go out into the woods and you're shooting at a distance, the way that you adjust for different distances is by raising or lowering the left hand. One of the nice things about over-the-top configuration is that you can see your target no matter how high or low you are. So you may find that something 25 yards away, you'll have to aim maybe here on the fork, whereas something really close to you, you'll actually have to drop quite a bit lower. Maybe if you want to clear that pond, you'll be even putting the target between the forks. And you can get a sense for your own band set and your own ammo and how full you're pulling for where you need to aim for different distances using the fork as a reference. One of the most common problems people have shooting slingshots is a fork hit, where the ball actually hits the slingshot itself instead of going out to the target. If this is happening to you, the usual culprit is your pouch release. You want to make sure that you're doing everything we talked about. Don't hold the ball, not the pouch, relax evenly. And if you really focus on that, most people find that cures their fork hits. It can be helpful to have someone else watch you, and if you have no one else, you can do a video of yourself and show it to one of the people on the forums, and that can usually help reveal what you're doing wrong in the technique that's getting that irregularity. Once you're comfortable with all of this, you can consider going from a fixed to a floating anchor to take advantage of one of the magical properties of latex, which is that if you pull it farther, you can get a lot more speed for the same pull weight. This comes in handy when you're out in the woods and you want to be able to hit things at farther distances without doing so much elevation estimation, or when you want greater impact power from your projectile. Okay, I hope this was helpful. It's just a basic overview of the rudiments of shooting. If you have any questions, feel free to post them on the YouTube video or shoot me an email at my site. Thank you.